Hi, I'm Drew.
And I'm Sam.
And welcome to Drewling Samantics. And good morning, Basil. How are we, dear?
Good morning, Manuel. Although, Manuel, you appear to have had a shave, where obviously I have not. Yes. Yeah, and nail on the head, mate. Anyway, I'm sure people have gathered why you called me Basil. If you're not watching, I've got a rather impressive moustache, I would say, at the moment. I think it's.
I think there's a bit of the Magnum PI about that, buddy.
I think you've said that before, and I think I took it as quite the compliment then as well. But yes, so I'm currently sporting moustache because I've been doing some Fawlty Towers work as Mr. Basil Fawlty. Sadly, not with my partner in crime playing Manuel, although you have been doing so, haven't you? Just not with.
I've had 3 shows, yes, in succession. So yes, I've been doing them as well, whizzing around the countryside. But all good. But yeah, mine is usually stuck on. But today it's been ripped off. So there we go.
Well, yeah, not specifically for this, I'm sure.
No,
but
no.
Yeah. So how are things other than that? Busy?
Very good. Busy. Yes. We're planning shows for the summer. Mm-hmm. So we got in for a little bit of pre-production. Still learning lines. But that'll soon be over. But yeah, basically lots of little bits and I've been getting, get this, I've been getting technical as well. I've been buying mixer desks and leads and things like that. So yeah, I know. More of that to come, but yes.
Yeah, well, there will be for me, because I'll be getting calls going, it doesn't work. I can't get it to do anything.
Mate, I've tested it. I run it. It's all up and going. I've been, no.
I'm impressed, mate. But it's funny you should mention not buying stuff, but the preparing for summer shows and learning lines and stuff. Because obviously, as you know, I have been learning lines for an upcoming summer show. And it just so happens that we are being joined today by someone who knows, well, a little bit more than me about said shows, I think is probably fair to say. A man who I've worked with, I'm about to work for/with, and is just a lovely bloke and annoyingly talented. But I think I've said enough at this stage. I think what would be more entertaining is if we get him to tell us a little bit more and explain exactly what I'm on about. What do you reckon?
Well, I mean, I know where you're going with this because he's actually waiting to join us this very moment.
Well, without further ado, as we like to say, why don't we bring him in? So, ladies and gentlemen, please meet the wonderful, the talented Mr. Andie Lindfield. And there he is, bright and early, joined by not one but 2 Andrews today, though neither of them are going to let me call them Andrew because they both go by something different. Ladies and gentlemen, meet the wonderfully talented Mr. Andie Lindfield. Andie, how are you, mate? It's good to see you.
I'm very well, thank you. How are you doing? How are you both doing? You all right?
Yeah.
Good, thank you, Andie. Good. I mean, you're looking remarkably well and healthy for a man who's been working recently with Mr. Sam Dunning. I have to say, came out the other side of it very well.
It took its toll on me. I can safely say, but it's been a month or so off now, so I managed to get back to full health and even grown facial hair again, which I had to shave off.
I was going to say, when we started touring, you had a full head of hair, and then you worked with me, and now you look like that. So it's
and I wasn't grey either in the beard. It's amazing working with you does. But there we go.
Yeah, which means it's even weirder that you've agreed to spend the next 2.5 months working with me, or certainly not in the same capacity necessarily, but you're subjecting yourself to my presence for at least the next few weeks. So
I am, yes, because you are coming to work for me, indeed, performing in An Ideal Husband.
I am, yes.
As an ideal husband, I'm not sure.
No.
But
saying nothing.
Turned into just berate me. We've been on for a few minutes, and anyway, we'll come to all that later, how we work together, why we work together, what we've got coming up. But what we really need to know is all about you. Now, obviously, you've not met Drew before, but spoken briefly. But both of you are well aware of each other, having both worked with me for an extended period of time. In that capacity, you know of each other. But we have a huge audience out there, I hope, listening in or watching in who may not know quite so much about yourself, Mr. Linfield. So can you, for all our lovely audience members, give them an impression or an idea of exactly who you are and what you do?
Well, and neither should they really know of me. But yes, I've been acting now probably since I I was at school. But I delved into acting after leaving school as an actor. So primarily, I've been an actor since 92, 93. It was my first tour. Then walked away from it for quite a while, and then went back to it after about a 10-year gap. Doing lots of actually amateur dramatics and stuff like that, which was brilliant. A really good training ground, especially because I had a particularly good director in my a semi-pro director who I work with there. And I got to do lots of things like Pinter and Wild and things like that, which I actually haven't done as much since I had become a professional actor. So that was amazing. And then trained at the wonderful East 15 acting school in Loughton. And then, yeah, have been working since I graduated there in 2007, I think it was. Yeah, 2007. So it was a later training for me. But an interesting one, which we can come to later.
Yeah, I think that'll probably come up at some point. Yeah, there's certainly a story or two in that. But not just an actor, as you say. You primarily worked as an actor, but now you have your own theatre company. You direct, you write. You're also a musician.
Yes.
Yeah. What sort of came first? Was it the love for acting? Was it performing as a musician? How did it all work in together?
I think the love for acting was always there, certainly. But I primarily wanted to be a rock star at the age of 16. So I joined a rock band as a drummer. So kit playing drummer. We were trying to be U2, I think, at the time. So that shows how long ago that was, because it's not very popular now. But
you two are still trying to be you two, apparently.
No, exactly. Or are they? I think they might.
Or are they? Yeah.
True. Yeah. But yeah, I did that for many years, and we got close to some really good some good gigs. We were playing Camden quite a bit and London, and I was just a quiet drummer at the back with my long hair. Would you believe it, Sam? Long hair down to here, drumming away at the back, having quite a lot of fun and just riding good times, really. But that all came to an end because people get older and argue a lot when they get older. So yeah, I didn't want to be that quiet musician in the back anymore. I wanted more of a voice, I think. And so the band kind of fell apart, split up, just when we were close to, we had management and everything, but that's a long time ago now. And then I thought, well, what do I do now? And I kicked around for a bit. And then my passion was acting. So as I said, I fell into doing some amateur stuff. And then at a certain point in my life, I thought, it came to a crossroads in my life, whereas do I continue just going from job to job every year? I mean, I worked as a photographer, I worked as a marine biologist, I've worked as so many things over a 10-year hiatus. I couldn't stick a job for a year. So I knew that passion was performing. So I went and got this place at East 15 to train, to actually pretend to know what I was doing, as we all do. We have this little training certificate now that says, I think I know what I'm doing. So from that, as an actor, finding work, as you both know, over the years as a jobbing actor, who's someone who hasn't, maybe is not in the public eye, and you're not, when people meet you, you can't say, yeah, I'm on EastEnders every week. I'm actually a jobbing actor. So have you been to a theatre recently? What have you seen? Because I might have been in that. But I was lucky enough to work at the Brentwood Theatre in Essex for one of my second job on a Christmas show there. And I met a fantastic group of actors who, when we left the show after that season, we disbanded, but we kept in touch. And as we all know, the beginning of a year is usually quite quiet. So we kept in touch, and we kind of kicked around an idea of doing a show. Maybe we should do a show just to create our own work. So we did. We decided to do it's an old, I think, 1960s and 1970s script called The Mating Game. We decided to produce it, which is a comedy, and it basically is, if no one has ever heard of it, if you've seen The 40-Year-Old Virgin, you've got it. I'm pretty sure this is where they got the idea for The 40-Year-Old Virgin, because it's about a guy who is of that age and is a virgin. It's about his relationships around that and the comedy. So it's very carry on in its approach. So I think if it was probably not performed now due to the world moving on and views changing, rightly so. But yeah, we produced that show and we did only a week's run. And the Brentwood Theatre, shout out to them because they let us have a week's run for nothing. They said, "Come and do it. We employed you. We believe in you." There was 6 of us who put this on, and we came out of that at the end of the week. We put all our own money in to put it on, and we came out of that week with probably about a couple of quid on top of what we put in. Yeah. So we didn't lose any money, which is essentially a good thing.
That's a good thing.
Well, that's considered a success in this business, not losing. It's not about profit; it's about no negatives, isn't it? So,
well, exactly. I mean, and I should mention those people by name, really. So there was Julia, there was Penny, Julia Curl, Penny Lambton, there was Colin Reed, myself, and Louisa Hunt. Was that 6 or was that 5? I can't remember. Might miss someone. But anyway, yeah. So we did that, and then we all went off and did our other jobs. We came back with, should we do it again? So we did it again. We did JB Priestley's Mating Game. And this was again static at Brentwood Theatre. And then I went off on tour doing open air theatre tour for another company that I worked with quite a few times. And then Louisa, my other half at the time, not my wife, but my girlfriend at the time, she said, "Well, you're away on tour, but I reckon we could do this." So she called up the girls who were left there and said, Colin had moved on to other things by then. So she called up the girls and said, "We're going to put on a tour." And my wife being my wife, Louisa, who's been my wife, she's a force of nature. So she literally she called around local gardens. She said, "Can we come put an open air show on?" They went, yeah, that's fine. She said, "Well, okay, we'll do the Comedy of Errors. We'll do it with 5 girls, the way Shakespeare wouldn't have done it, basically, because he wouldn't have used girls. So that's how we build it, or they build it." And hats off to them. They went and they rehearsed it in about a week. Got a director and helped them. They went to a few local gardens, put a suitcase down in front of them, and people put money in it at the end, which was brilliant.
That I love.
Yeah. And that is how our company called Dots Productions was born. And from then on, since then, that was 2010. So 2011, we decided to do it again, make it a ticketed event. I joined in and we did The Importance of Being Earnest, because that's always a great bums on seats show to do. So we did that, took that on tour. And we were turning up at small theatres, not only open air venues, but small theatres were selling out. So we were, okay, we may be onto something here. We may be actually be able to make a business out of this. And as I said, that was 2011. We're still going today. And Dot Productions has been on tour for, it's 15 years now, I think. Yeah. Wow. So as a producer, go on.
Could I just say something?
Yeah.
I just realised I know your wife. I directed her in a tour of...
Ladies and gentlemen, this might be about to be the weirdest episode we've ever had. I don't know what's about to be said.
She did a tour of Shakers a few years back. Yeah, I directed that.
Did you?
I directed that and went on tour doing the sound and the technical side.
She speaks fondly of that tour. She loved that tour.
I just went, hang on a minute, Louise Lindfield. There can't be another one. That was great. Isn't that weird? There you go. There you go.
That is amazing. Yes.
Yeah.
Before I knew her, I think that was just before I knew her. I worked with
her. I just had if anybody watching this on YouTube or whatever would notice me looking down, then I was just on Facebook going, I know this bloody woman. So there you go. Now, how about that? Fantastic.
Well, there you go. Incredible. So you'll know my bridesmaids at my wedding. You'll know Debbie as well. And
yes. Yeah. There we go. Amazing.
It's the perfect example, and we've said it so many times, that the performance world is the most incestuous area, and I don't mean that in the literal terms, but everyone knows everyone. The degrees of separation, you will always have someone you've worked with that's worked with someone else, or has worked for the same company, or has performed in the same theatre. There's so many connections. I mean, we'll get onto it potentially in a minute properly. But Andy, we've just done a tour together, as we mentioned, and there was someone who made a brief appearance on our tour, who I think had auditioned for you years and years before. So there
It
are these,
was. Yeah.
yeah.
I
So
know. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? And I only realized when you sent me one of his cards, I think, over WhatsApp, because I wasn't, he was the guy filling in for me. Is
yes, yeah.
yeah, he filled in for me for a show.
Hmm.
And you sent him a card, he gave you a card and you sent it over to me. And then I showed it to Louisa, my wife, and she went, "Oh, he auditioned for us." And then everything just tumbled into place in my head. I went, "Oh, yeah, I remember him."
It's mad,
So,
absolutely mad. But yeah, so tell us a little bit more about Dot themselves. Like how was it just formed out of those doing a couple of shows and going, actually, we need to have more structure to this, or was it actually something that you sort of thought of early doors, going, maybe I do need a company to create work? How did that sort of form?
I've always called myself a reluctant producer. It was not something I had ever thought about or ever. I mean, I left drama school and thought, well, okay, as everyone, even younger actors do. I mean, I left when I was 34, 33. But you come out and you think, well, I've got my training now. I'm going to work, surely. I'm going to get loads of work. I don't need to think about finding my own, looking for my, I've got my agent. I'm fine. I'm sorted. Don't worry about it. I don't have to think now. And that is the biggest warning to any actor coming out of drama school.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't happen. So when we realized we had to create our own work, and we did it for fun initially and to get a little bit of work and a credit, and then the penny dropping that actually it's something I had experience in with other companies, so I can bring that experience into the fold and certainly build on what we had done. And it was, I mean, I'm reluctant because it took us a long time to build up the momentum of making it worthwhile. And although we'd all love to be artists and do it for the love, we have to get paid. And you think, well, it's a trade-off. I mean, we started off as a profit share company, and I never wanted to be that, because being an actor myself, I know how that is hard. I know how it's, and Louisa obviously working as well. We wanted to make it more than that, but it took us so many years of probably about 4 to 5 years to get to a point where we're comfortable with the amount of money that we could then offer an actor to actually say it's not profit share anymore. It's now a fee job. This is a paid job. And then it's still growing to this day. And every year I still trying to push all those kind of things in the right direction. But it's a juggling act. I mean, especially for an open air theatre company, if you have a rainy day or a rainy summer, falling on your face. And as we're not funded, we don't have any arts council funding or anything like that. We don't have that. So if we have a bad year, we take the financial hit of that. And as it's just myself and Louisa now who run it as a family business, it's you worry. You're always worried, especially this time of year. You're looking out the window going, okay, it's raining now, but is it going to be summer? Is it going to be summer soon? Because I need tickets to start selling. And I hate thinking like that as an actor. I really do.
You have to cover your bases, don't you, Andy? I mean, but Verona, my wife and I, we've started producing shows over the past 3 or 4 years at a venue that we're working closely with, and you think. I mean, I become obsessed. Every day you check the website, or they're going up, or they're not going up. We need to push the marketing, but that's in a venue. We're inside. We are going to produce a summer panto this year outside, so we'll be going through the same angst as yourself. But you throw into the mix that I mean, there are, along with yourself, well established rural touring and stately home touring companies, going to stately homes, gardens, etc. You throw that in the mix. I mean, you can't plan for that. Do you plan for that? Do you say, well, if we, what can we cover ourselves? Can we go inside? Or do you just go, it's rained off, that's it, we'll have to take the hit? I mean, is there anything you can do?
The general rule for most of these companies is we continue performing unless it's dangerous to do so.
Right.
So, and a lot of the audiences who come to these events, they know this. They're great. I mean, there's some of the best theatre audiences in the world, because they will sit there watching you under not an umbrella, I must add, don't bring an umbrella, but under a hooded jacket with rain pelting them, and they're kind of there watching the actors just get soaking and keep going through it. Um, and that's the thrill for them. And we've always said if they're going to sit there and watch it, then we're going to do it.
We're going to keep going. Yeah.
They've paid their price. They've paid for their ticket. We're not going to give up if it's just a little bit of rain. I've had some actors work for us over the years who've given me that little look on stage when it starts to rain, and as if to say, "Are we stopping?" And we carry on. No, no, you just you got whatever you've got on, you're soaking, and you're just coming off stage. And lucky it's the summer. It's usually warm. It's not too inconvenient. It is just water at the end of the day.
I was about to say, though, the opposite is true because I worked at Brighton Open Air Theatre last 2 summers, and we did last year we did the Lady Killers, and before that, One Man, Two Governors. And it's amazing how the weather changes the show because if it rains, everyone's sitting there going, "We're going to see this through." But we had temperatures of 35 degrees. And we're dressed in tweed and raincoats, and I had a scarf on at one point, a scarf, a raincoat, a hat, and I'm running around the set in the Lady Killers thinking I'm going to melt.
Yeah.
And then, but that puts a texture on the afternoon show. But then in the evenings, the temperature drops, and the audience, you see them pulling blankets around themselves, and it changes the energy of the show. It's incredible that we were a little bit more lethargic and laid back in the evening and running around trying to keep warm. And it's amazing how. Outside shows are different and wonderful anyway. As you say, the audience are right. We're in this with you. We're going for it. Do you, you're doing An Ideal Husband, and which is a wonderful, drawing room, Wildian. Do you go, we're going to do that and we're just going to change it for outside? Or do you choose a play that you think, but this will work outside? Or do you challenge yourself? You go, oh, well, we're going to do this and let's get over the challenges. Let's work out theatrical problems.
I think that's where it lies. I think we've always the limitations of what we can do and what we can tour in the back of a van, because we hit 30 plus venues and not just open air. We're inside as well. But the limitations of what we can get in the van and what we can create on a stage, because we take our own stage with us as well, still decking stage. So that is what pushes the creativity. That is what I love. So we don't pick a play necessarily that we go, well, we can only do that open. Pick a play that we tend to pick plays for dot productions that other people aren't touching. So a million people will always come to us and say, why don't you do a Midsummer Night's Dream? It's brilliant. It's fantastic. But there's probably 3 or 4 other companies every year doing that.
Yes.
Which is great. So the only one we've repeated ourselves on is The Importance of Being Earnest. Every other year from that, we've produced a different show, and usually titles that other companies haven't really touched. So we did School for Husbands one year, which is Moliere, which is completely different. I don't think any other company's done that. I think we may have been one of the first to do She Stoops to Conquer open air, which is being done now a lot. We have some adaptations done for us as well. A shout out to a couple of ladies who have worked for us over the years, Dawn Bush and Norn Vaughan Thomas, who have adapted Jane Austen novels for us. So we've done Emma, we've done Sense and Sensibility, we did Persuasion last year. Wow. And we use these. They're actors who have worked for us in the past, but have a great love of Jane Austen. So rather than me going and reading it and trying to adapt it, where I could do, but why not get someone who actually loves that material and is willing to be paid to adapt that for us? And we put that on stage, and then you get all the Austen lovers coming and going, I didn't think you could do that in an hour and 40 minutes, but you've got the whole book in, you've hit all the points that we love. And I say, well, you know why? It's because someone adapted it who loves it. So, yeah, to answer your question, we don't pick for open air. We just pick something that we think may go down well. Our audience like Wilde, they like Austen, they like Bronte. It's the classical English literature type scenario. And we sometimes put a twist on it. We only have 5 actors who do everything, as Sam will know soon. But it's so 5 actors doing an Austen. you're obviously going to have some challenges there, and the challenges of those 5 actors doing it create the push the creativity and can there was a lot of humor in Persuasion we had last year, a little bit of knockabout humor which took it out of the realms of the world of the book and broke that fourth wall, which was nice, but ultimately the whole book was there. Whereas when you do a wild, I think when you do a wild it's very different. You can't really, as you'll know, you've probably both done wild scripts before. I know Sam has, and his writing is so tight and has to be delivered quite concisely to get the humor across. You don't really want to mess with it too much. Yes, we can edit bits, we can shorten bits, but you can't make it knockabout. You can't really, well, you can do. Some companies do, but in my mind, I don't like to do that. I like to try and keep it as wild, where the humor comes from what the script is giving you, and the audience love that usually. So yeah, it's what you can do. It's what we do anyway. I know other companies do other things, which is fine.
So obviously, there are 5 of us who are going out on this upcoming tour, which is interesting because you and I have just completed, or about a month ago, completed a tour where, again, 5 actors on stage, and I'm pretty sure I've counted 5 correctly. I'm not missing anyone there. We also had a band on stage, but there were 5 of us playing numerous parts, doing set changes, working on the get in and get out. We did have the band and some crew as well, so we were lucky in that. But we basically took this storyline, which was enormously successful, and we were the second cast to do this show, a slightly adapted cast. But we've just completed, as people who listen to the show will know, I've just been in the tour of the Doris Day story, the musical, which is where we met. And you were multi-rolling and instrumentalist in it, which I tip my hat to you, because it's just the biggest challenge possible to be able to do multiple jobs to get a show across. But it was a bit of a step away for you, wasn't it? Because obviously the majority of the time, yes, you are still a jobbing actor, but you're mainly working for Dot. You're mainly producing and working in your own shows. Where did it come from to suddenly go, no, I want to go away for a month? And number one, how did you get permission from the wife, leaving her, abandoning her for a period of time? And what made that decision for you?
I think working with other people is always the best way to learn, and you never stop learning as an actor. And I don't want to just work. I just don't, because the shows I produced over the last 15 years on tour, I've always been a part of. So this year, if this show goes all out as planned, which I hope it does, I won't be on tour with it. But I always want. Primarily, I'm an actor. I love acting. I love creating stories. I love connecting with audiences, and I love working with other people. And I think that's where that came from. I don't want to ever lose that side of it. So jumping into something like the Doris Day story, which I was, as you know, it happened very quickly. We were all kind of cast and rehearsed, and we were all up there. And, before we had time to say hello, we were into scenes and rehearsing numbers. And, you only get to know each other on tour. But that whole camaraderie of pulling together is something that I love about Dot Productions. But I'd like to experience that as someone who hasn't got to worry about how many tickets are being sold, or whether it's raining, or anything else apart from, okay, I'm here to just perform as these characters, play this music, and connect with this audience and these actors on stage. I think that's where it comes from, really. I don't, as I say, reluctant producer from the off, so always want to be acting.
It's funny, because direct and produce and when you walk into a rehearsal room as a producer / director, whatever, the rehearsal room's quite small, because you've got loads of stuff. You've got the cast, you've got this, I'm behind the table, I'm on the table, I'm doing the music. And then when you walk into a rehearsal room and you're just acting, suddenly the room is so much bigger. I've got no problems. It's just you and me, and let's have a shed load of fun. Both of them have their own challenges and both wonderful, but there are, like you say, there are those moments where you go, I don't have to do anything. It's just me and a script and having some fun. It's both lovely, both wonderful, but it is a relief, isn't it, when you don't have to be responsible for the other 20 odd people.
It is. It is, yeah. A tad selfish, but I don't think any actors are ever selfish, are we? I mean,
Not
no,
openly.
not openly, but well, there we go. And it's okay to be that sometimes. I
Yeah.
think it's okay to look after yourself and look after your own creativity. Make sure
Yeah.
that time I do step into a room as a director or producer, that I've actually got something in the tank to give because I've made these connections with other people. And I haven't just been solely blinkered in my own vision about stuff. I've actually had someone come in the room and say, "Oh, do this character like this," or someone's directed me, and I've gone, "Oh, that's a good way of approaching something. I can take that
I'll
and
have
move
that.
that." Yeah.
Yeah.
And, not as a director, you don't listen to the actors. You certainly do. You work with the actors. The director's job is to work with actors, not against them, and help the actors create this piece. But you have to have a vision as well of where you're heading. So yeah, to walk into a room and not be in charge of the vision as such and be able to play, it's brilliant. It's one of the best things, really, and one of the things that keeps you going in the business, I guess.
So I want to. I'm very aware that you're giving up your time today and how much you've got to prepare for because you're about to embark on directing four actors and an idiot. So you've probably got quite a lot going through your head at the moment. So we won't keep you too much longer. But there are a couple of things. First of all, you say actors may now and then be a little bit selfish. I'm going to be selfish slash on behalf of Dot. Do a bit of promotion. Throw in there. Give people the proper details. Look how prepared I am. I've even got the flyers
Yes.
stood by for the two shows because actually what we haven't revealed
No.
mentioned is the fact that we're not just doing one show, we're doing two in rep. So yeah, do a bit of promotion before I nail you down on one other thing that I want to talk about.
Okay. Well, yeah. So yeah, as you mentioned, we've got two shows doing them in rep. So it's a family show, Treasure Island, which is performs in the afternoons in venues. In the evening, we change things up a bit and we do an Ideal Husband. Tour kicks off on July the 12th, July the 12th, I believe. Up
Good
in
that we
Wells.
both know that so confidently.
Yeah, I know, Wells Ecstasy, which is in a theatre, and then we go open air over to some National Trust Property Shores Corner, which is actually completely sold out now. So yeah, but we have tickets on sale through our website, which is dotproductions.co.uk. But yes,
Yeah, something like that. We'll put it in the details.
We'll sort that out.
yeah, please do, because yeah, as you say, my head's into a million things at the moment. But yeah, we're going till September. As I say, we're all over pretty much all over the country. We don't go down south too much, but we are around the Midlands, around Essex area particularly, because that's where we started the company. We even go up to Yorkshire and up to. We go. Oh yeah, we do go down south.
All the way down to Penzance. We don't go south much, but we go as south as we bloody can.
Oh yeah, almost. We almost fall off the end, but we don't quite.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the shows are great. They're fun. If you're not into classical theatre, it's actually a great way of getting into it because they're 2-hour shows, and that includes a 20-minute interval. So they're not overly heavy. They are light. It's an open air setting. Bring a picnic if you're in an open air setting.
Bring a nice bottle of wine and chill out.
Yeah, and usually the second half's a lot better because you've had a couple of more drinks. So.
Yeah.
Not us, just for record. That's not the cast.
No, we don't have any drinks. No, we're not that cast. Not yet, but
yeah.
Brilliant.
Although it may help at sometimes, you never know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so please, we'll obviously have the links and stuff. Please do check out Dot Productions' upcoming tour. Now, we always finish our episodes when we have a guest on with a funny story or an anecdote or something to shock and awe people. Now, normally these are a surprise to both Drew and I. However, I know that there is only one story that I can possibly think of for you, Andy, that sort of ticks the boxes in a better way than perhaps any other. So I may know what's coming up here, but Drew certainly doesn't. No. I'm guessing if you had to pick a story to tell everyone that stands out from your career, it would be about your audition for drama school. Would that be right?
Yes, I suppose it would be, really. I mean, I always forget about this story until I've met someone for a few times, and then I probably tell it, and people are more amazed than I seem to remember it happening. But auditioning for drama school, I was, a latecomer, so I was in my 30s. I go to drama school. I picked my pieces. I picked a piece by Stephen Burkoff's out of East, and a Shakespeare piece as well for East 15. East 15, you do your auditions in front of each other. So you get up, you do your piece, everyone watches, they give you some direction. You do your other piece, you sit down. Anyway, I did my Shakespeare piece, lovely. Didn't get any direction on it. I thought, cracking. Okay, let's go into Burkoff's piece. And those of you who know Burkoff, it's physical theatre. So I'm there. I can't remember the name of the character now, but at one point he's being beaten up by the police or something. So I put my hands behind my back and I'm swinging my head as if I'm being punched in the face, and I do a rather heavy swing of the head. My whole body swings. My whole feet come off the ground, and I land on the floor, on my hip, bang on the side. I go, oh, that hurt a bit. Well, I'll carry on. I'll get up. I'll carry on. So I get up. I get through the end of speech. And they go, oh, thank you very much. Don't need to be redirected. I'm thinking, good. Feeling a little bit worn out now. I'll go and sit down. So I sit down on the front row, watching someone else. And then this girl next to me puts her hand up, and stops the person auditioning on the stage. And I'm like, what's going on? And she's looking at me, and she looks at the director in the room, who was the head of drama there, John Baraldi. He's sadly no longer with us, but
No.
he was in the room. And she said to him, I think this guy needs an ambulance. And I'm thinking, who needs an ambulance? And she's looking at me, and I'm sweating buckets. I've gone into shock because I fractured my hip. I've literally fractured my hip on the concrete floor, the Corbett Theatre in East 15, while auditioning for drama school. So anyone who knows East 15 in Loughton knows that the ambulance station is next door. So the ambulance is in there, quick flash. They're in there. I'm on a stretcher being carried out of my audition on gas and air. Not really knowing what's going on, to be fair, at that point. I get straight off to Whipps Cross Hospital. I'm in A&E, laying there in A&E, in agony, absolute agony. It hurt. And I get a phone. My sister's with me. She gets a phone call on my phone, hands it to me. It's John Baraldi saying, Andrew, I hope you're all right. He's Canadian. I can't do a Canadian accent. Hope you're okay. Just to let you know, you got in. And I told him to F off. Because I was in so much pain. I just went off. And put the phone down. And that was my introduction to drama school, really. So I had to defer for a year because I was on crutches. So I didn't go until 31. And to this day, I still have 3 metal pins in my right hip, which still give me jit on a
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Absolutely unbelievable. And like I say, I've heard that story before, and it's still it's incredible. But obviously, it didn't hinder you. You deferred. You went to East 15 the following year, and sky's the limits from there. A fabulous way to finish this episode. Andie,
Brilliant.
obviously, I'm going to be seeing lots of you coming up. But it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. Thank you so much for agreeing to it. And we'll keep doing updates while we're on tour and go from there. But do come back on again in the future, won't you?
And give my love to your wife.
I will, Drew.
Weird.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
We'll get there before it gets even weirder. Andie, thank you so much, mate. Absolute pleasure.
Cheers,
See you very
guys. Thank
soon.
you.
Cheers.
Take care, Andie. Bye-bye, mate. And away he goes, the wonderful Andrew Lindfield there. Isn't that fantastic? I mean, reluctant though he may be, he's a bloody good producer, isn't he? I mean, let's face it.
I wouldn't be working with him if he wasn't. This is certainly not a mate doing another mate a favour. I'm actually privileged and really, really excited that I get the opportunity to work with him in this capacity, having shared the stage with him, and obviously hearing the stories of Dot's sort of the level they work at and the care that he and Louisa, his wife, they throw into this. It's their passion. So yeah, it's a real honour to be able to have the opportunity to work with him / for him, however you want to look at it, and I'm very excited for it. I'm
not surprised because they're not mucking about. I mean, that's a 30-date tour. And playing outside with all that goes on. I mean, gee, I'd be watching the weather forecast every single hour if that was me.
Well, yeah, exactly that. I mean, we did. There's an irony, isn't there? We did some posts on social media last week or the week before, even I think it was, but over the past couple of weeks, saying how amazing the weather was, and we weren't
Yes.
lying. Where we are, it's been unbelievable. We've been outside wearing shorts, whereas we spoke to Andy after recording, and he said, "No, in Essex, it's been raining literally
raining.
for weeks." So it's so unpredictable. But let's hope that means that all the rain for the summer has happened in those places that I'm going to go to, or Dot Productions are going to go to. Cross your fingers, everyone. We don't want rain when we're doing open air theatre.
We don't. And I just add a little caveat to that is when I'm down in because I'm going down to Lyme Regis to the Marine Theatre
Yes, you are,
for 10 days to do Gaslight down there, the end of July, beginning of August. I'm going to be camping for 10 days because I love camping. I haven't done it. I used to do it a lot on tour. So the weather down there is, I say, notoriously good. It is usually very, very good. But I don't want any drizzle. Well, drizzle's fine, but don't want any thunderstorms. Thank you very much.
No. Let's. Can we just have July, August, and the beginning of September, as if we're not in Britain, as if we're actually in a country where they have nice weather, please, please. But anyway,
Mind you, remember last summer, 40-degree temperatures. You don't want those when you're running around.
No, equally that as well. But I was going to say we've gone off tangent a bit because we were talking about Andy and now we're talking about the weather. But no, a superb guest. One of the craziest anecdote stories at the end. I know I already knew it, but it had to be told.
I mean, extraordinary. But doesn't it go to show that when you are in the midst of doing that, you're doing an audition for a drama school that is going to affect your whole career, your whole life ahead of you.
Yeah.
You do it, you take a tumble, you sit down. It takes somebody else sitting there going, I think you should get this guy an ambulance. He's not very well.
Unbelievable. He hadn't noticed. I mean, he
hadn't noticed.
Odd, but it's like you say, you kind of carry on. It's not facing adversity that makes it perhaps bigger than it is, but you do sort of get on with things, don't you? It's part of our job, not always to that extent, clearly, but little things go wrong and you just have to carry on. It's famously Leonardo DiCaprio in Django Unchained. He slams a glass onto the table and it's smashed and cut his hand to pieces, and it looks great in the film. It wasn't supposed to happen. He actually seriously damaged his hand. And there's a clip of Tom Cruise breaking his ankle, I think, doing a stunt. But he carried on nonetheless. And we're not suggesting if you seriously injure yourself that you shouldn't stop and go, sorry, I'm broken. But equally, it's that kind of the show must go on attitude, isn't it? So,
and also the adrenaline is pumping through you as well. You don't often notice these things. I mean, I cracked my head on the turnbuckle getting out of the boxing ring in Fighting Irish. And it was only when people went, Drew, you've got I was like, oh Christ, didn't see that, a gash on my forehead, which I didn't know because it was just go for it,
No,
so
not,
really
not quite as dramatic, but when I did the last time I did Aladdin pantomime at the Chequermead Theatre in East Grinstead, brilliant show, lovely company and lovely cast. The show ended, I can spoil it now because it's happened, but the show ended with the camel spitting, breaking a light from like the lighting rig, and that fell on my head. I'm playing Abanazar, the bad guy, and knocked me out. And it obviously happened every show, and they'd rigged up this thing, and it was incredible. And obviously it was a fake light; it wasn't a proper one. But even so, because I had this like a hat thing on with like a gem on the front, every night I'd have like a little cut here, and then obviously the following show it would open up again. So not quite, but it's these little things that you kind of just go, well, I'll crack on. Yeah. And in Andy's case, he went, it's only a hit.
Yeah, exactly. I've got another one. Yeah.
But yes, no, so huge thank you to Andy. I'll be seeing you very soon, mate, but thank you for coming on and joining us. Another brilliant episode, another brilliant guest.
Fantastic.
And another week complete, mate. It's been a good one.
It has been a good one. It has been a very good one, mate. I mean, I've enjoyed it. And I mean, are you busy upcoming week, or are you ploughing into line learning and stuff?
Lines, lots and lots of lines.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, before we get cancelled for another reason, I'm talking about learning lines of a script. You don't need any. Just
I didn't go there then. You
no,
beat
you
me.
didn't, but you're ancient, so it doesn't matter. But all these modern people and all these they might think I meant something else. I do not mean that. That is not the way I work. No.
And the drugs were so much better in my day, mate. They were so much cheaper. I mean, the kids these days, they got crap drugs, rubbish drugs. We had the good stuff.
Every week you find something to say where I'm going, oh my God, am I going to have to edit that out? No, it's staying in. Fuck it.
Leave it in. Leave it in.
Yeah. So yeah, from Andie and his broken hip to you and your drugs are rubbish and whatever else. Me and my shitty moustache. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on Drewling Samantics this week. I'll be back next week with this imbecile. Don't know what we'll be chatting about. Let's have a look and see what's going on in the industry, shall we, Drew? And just
let's have a little industry news and a little catch up next week, my friend.
I reckon that'll work. So until then, everyone, have a cracking week. Hope wherever you are, it doesn't rain, unless that means it doesn't rain there when I go there on tour or Drew goes to Lyme Regis. Either of those. That made no sense. Quick, see you later. Bye.
Great. Bye-bye, everyone. Take care.
Thanks again for watching this episode of Drewling Samantics.
Please make sure you subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video.
Don't forget, we're also available as audio only. Just search Drewling Samantics in any good podcast app. And please support us on social media. All our links and handles are on screen now.
We love welcoming new followers and subscribers, so why not share with your family and friends so they can join in too? Thanks very much. See you next time.